Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Osman. In this week's episode, offshore storms continue to push ashore young sea turtles. The Marine Science Center gears up for the annual BirdFest, and a local club spearheads efforts to get disaster relief to Puerto Rico. Later on in the program, Joanne Magley talks with Jessica Winterwerp, Director of Volusia County's Coastal Division. Those segments and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I hope you stay tuned. When Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico on September 20th, Hector Valley watched the TV news and worried about his hometown of Cuberdeas, which is on the island's northwestern shore. With no word from his friends and family, he loaded a twin-engine plane on October 3rd and flew to Cuberdeas, where he found utter destruction. Valley is a Volusia County employee and a former Navy and Army pilot.
I saw devastation like I've never seen before. It was worse than Iraq, and I spent a year there. It was worse than Afghanistan, and I spent a year there. And the level of devastation from Hurricane Maria exceeded that. I mean, I was shocked. I was, made it to my little town, and indeed, no power, no electricity, no infrastructure. The cellular towers were down, so there was no internet. There was no cell phone service, no landlines. So everybody there was kind of in a state of shock. Instead of denial and shock, they couldn't just come to terms that that had happened, and the destruction was so widespread.
Since his first flight, Valley has coordinated donation drives and additional rescue missions through the Pirata Surf Club and with the assistance from his co-workers at Volusia County. Valley is president of the Pirata Surf Club, a group of 82 men and women who were born in Puerto Rico and live in the United States. The club gets its name from Cuberdeas' history as a pirate hideout.
So we've been in existence a little over 12 years. It was just a group of people from different walks of life: surfers, skateboarders, scuba divers, windsurfers, with the common interest in trying to provide those programs that were lacking, and to just overall try to inject some life into our small community. We have a good organization, but we're more in terms of organizing and performing or executing events. So we quickly figured out a structure, figured out how to operate. We went from doing events to all of a sudden shipping and cargo experts and coordinating the network and putting it all together to establish collection and distribution centers to make it happen.
The Pirata Surf Club has also provided 3 medical teams and evacuated 15 urgent care patients. The rescue operation will continue until the crisis has passed and the northwestern towns in Puerto Rico are back to normal operations. This could take up to a year. The most urgent needs are water and non-perishable food, medical and hygiene supplies, generators and power inverters, large tarps and extension cords, chains for chainsaws, and cash. For more information about the relief effort, you can visit piratesurfclub.org. Donations can be delivered to the New Smyrna Beach Airport or to Volusia County's elections, property appraiser, and community assistance offices. Volunteers who are willing to travel and help in the northwestern Puerto Rico recovery effort can contact Hector Valley at 386-383-2750. Thanks to passing tropical systems in September and October, visitors to Volusia County beaches are seeing piles of vegetative debris in large amounts along the entire coastline. Seaweed plays a vital role in the lives of young sea turtles as they struggle to survive in the ocean.
That seaweed is where these animals live, out in the Gulf Stream. So once that gets broken apart, it may float out there for a while near shore, and then when we start to get these strong onshore winds, we're seeing it piling up on the beach, feet deep of seaweed. So that's bringing all of these turtles that are living, in that seaweed onto the beach.
When the washbacks come ashore, they're vulnerable to dehydration and predators and typically do not have the energy needed to make the long swim back offshore to the floating seaweed beds. All sea turtles are listed as threatened or endangered, so it's imperative these young sea turtles be recovered and brought to care rather than left on the beach or placed back in the ocean. These young turtles should be taken to the closest lifeguard tower or station on damp sand or a towel. In recent weeks, hundreds of washbacks have been brought to the Marine Science Center for care.
And then when they get here, we're actually doing measurements, weights, and documenting where the turtles are from. And then, after we've done all that, we're going to start treating them, giving them fluids with dextrose to give them some energy. And then we'll move them to another area where they might just need to rest for a while.
Sea turtle nesting season continues through October 31st, and we are well into the nest hatching phase. There have been 720 nests counted so far, to include a nest that was laid last week, which is pretty rare to have a nest laid that late in the season. If a turtle appears to be in immediate danger, notify a lifeguard or beach safety officer, or you can call the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission at 888-404-3922. For more information about Volusia County's Sea Turtle Program, you can call 386-238-4668, or you can visit volusiaseaturtles.org.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
This week on Volusia Here and Now, we'll join Shelley Safranek at the Port Orange Pavilion as she checks out a new business that is changing how people interact with and adopt cats in Volusia County.
There's a new business in Volusia County with the power of persuasion. Its location, Cat and Snacks, and it would be a catastrophe if you missed it.
I like this kitty place because it's nice and it's fun.
I told her if she got good grades every week I take her here.
Oh my goodness! Building on a cat cafe concept that started in Taiwan, grew in popularity, and is now in most metropolitan cities, sisters Colleen Macy and Marilyn Silva opened Location Cats and Snacks in July. While the original concept includes a cafe with the feline experience, the sisters decided to incorporate an old-fashioned automat type eatery using vending machines.
Being very into the old movies and things of that sort, we knew what an automat was. And in the old times, the automat was the old vending machines. It was basically run by a person putting the food in there and then another person on the opposite side retrieving the food after they've put their quarter in. So those no longer exist. And so we did high-end vending. That way we get around not preparing food, but also having the convenience of having food and the cat adoptions all under one roof.
Treats at Location include exclusive decadent desserts by Sugar Bell's Bakery, addictive gourmet popcorn by Brown Bag Popcorn Company, and amazing mochi by Moki Doki. There also is free Wi-Fi and plenty of room to relax in the mid-century modern living room setting. As guests enjoy the snacks and cats, the sisters hope the guests also consider giving one of the felines a forever home, which is an important part of Location Cats and Snacks community presence. The cats are a year older and come from the Halifax Humane Society, with all proceeds going back to the Humane Society.
We get them from Halifax Humane Society and they will never go back into a cage if we have our way. What will happen is the cats basically come here and they're free roam. They're free roam during the morning all the way through overnight. They don't go back in a cage. And our plans are to keep them cage-free until they find their forever home. We just don't see how we can put them back in a cage after they've had this setting. And as well, this setting is not like everybody's living room. My living room doesn't look like this, but it's a living room environment, and it lends itself to being at home. So you can see how the cats react, and see yourself owning a cat maybe a little more, and see how it'll fit into your life.
And it's not just the automat vending and adoption partnership that sets Location apart from other cat cafes. Other differences include there is no reservation needed to visit and enjoy the cats. Admission is only $5 per hour, and you can freely interact with the cats, even pick them up and hold them. And children are more than welcome, as the sisters believe in teaching people early on how to love and enjoy cats.
We have the younger kids in the morning, the elderly throughout the day, and then the 20-somethings come in about dinner time and hang out and do their homework and have a treat, and it's a whole different vibe.
From different ages to people from different areas of Volusia County, the sisters hope to build upon the success they've seen since opening by adding special events into their offerings and encouraging people to make time at Location part of a special outing, and have been approached to host weddings and birthdays.
Today after school, we came up here from Edgewater and we're having a play date with the cats today. We heard about this place on Facebook, so we decided to try it out, and she loves playing with the kitties. My first impression when I walked in was I like the cleanliness of it. When you think of cats, you don't necessarily think of cleanliness, or you think of smells. It's very clean. Everything is see-through when you first walk in, so you already can get the vibe of the place. It's very refreshing.
If you want to check out Location Cats and Snacks, their fall hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday. You also can follow them on Facebook at Cat Automat, go online to locationcatautomat.com, or call 386-317-2633 for more information. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Shelley Safranek.
The Daytona Beach International Airport knows that emergencies can occur when you least expect. That's why they continue to test their plans with simulated disasters, ensuring staff and emergency responders are ready if ever the need arises. Last week, the airport tested its disaster response readiness during a functional exercise in which a simulated CRJ-200 aircraft lost directional control and crashed into the south pond of the tarmac. Over 30 responders, including airport staff, Volusia County Fire Rescue, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, and Emergency Medical Services, were on hand and ready to react. The team quickly went to work putting out a simulated fire, rescuing dummy passengers, and removing the simulated aircraft from the water. The exercise tested the airport's water rescue plan, which is part of its larger comprehensive emergency plan. The exercise was also an opportunity to test the airport's environmental response plan and test communication between the Airport Operations Center and Volusia County Emergency Operations Center.
We were looking at response. Obviously, communications with any type of exercise or any type of emergency is key, and the training items that we're all trained for. And I'd say this was a successful test of the airport's emergency plan, again, specifically the water rescue plan, so I'm happy with the results, but there's always things that are identified, action items that we can improve upon, and that's really where the work gets done, is analyzing what we could have done better, what can be done better, and then overall improving.
The team held a hot wash immediately following the exercise and will evaluate in more detail during a debriefing at the county's Emergency Operations Center in early November.
We serve the community, and we have to be in a position that if we ever have a situation like this, we can respond efficiently and safely.
The airport will execute a full-scale drill in 2019 as part of a triennial requirement of the Federal Aviation Administration. Celebrate Volusia County's magnificent birds during the 13th annual BirdFest at Volusia County's Marine Science Center in Ponce Inlet on Saturday, November 4th. The free event runs from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Attendees can meet glove-trained birds of prey, learn about bird migration, and visit booths staffed by nature groups and crafters. Visitors may take free tours of the Marine Science Center and its Mary Kelly Seabird Rehabilitation Sanctuary. This provides treatment for injured and sick birds. The wooden bird walk leading to the sanctuary features live displays of bald eagles, brown pelicans, and other birds that are injured and permanently live at the sanctuary.
BirdFest is a great family event. This is an opportunity for people who might not have been to the Marine Science Center to come, and we're free all day. So we are a really great deal. It's a wonderful opportunity for people to see all the work that we do at the Marine Science Center. Of course, the focus for this particular day is our work with the rehabilitation of injured birds. And so we're going to be doing a number of different programs that are going to focus on those birds. We have a number of glove-trained raptors, or birds of prey, for people to get up close and personal, a chance to get far closer than most people have ever been to these fabulous birds.
Since the Marine Science Center opened in 2002, more than 1 million visitors have been educated about marine life, and staff has cared for more than 19,000 sea turtles, gopher tortoises, freshwater turtles, and snakes. The Seabird Rehabilitation Sanctuary has received 15,000 birds since it opened in 2004.
Over 195 species of birds have been treated here. Each year we're getting around 1,200 individual birds that come in, and we're always trying to make sure that they survive, that we get them back healthy and able to be released back to the wild where they belong.
For more information about BirdFest and other programs at the Marine Science Center, you can visit marinesciencecenter.com or call 386-304-5545. Let's join Community Information Director Joanne Magley in the studio with her guest, Jessica Winterwerp, Director of Volusia County's Coastal Division.
Thanks, Amber. Well, ever since Hurricane Irma, county beaches have received a lot of storm-related and vegetative debris due to winds and rains from passing tropical systems. So joining us now in the studio is Jessica Winterwerp, Director of the county's Coastal Division, which manages many aspects of the beach. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Thanks for being here today. So let's talk about our conditions since Irma. Irma caused enough of some erosion and its own problems. So talk about that, and then talk about the weeks after Irma and the different problems that brought that.
Well, if you remember, Irma came through in September. When Irma came through, it thankfully was what we call a backdoor hurricane, meaning it came through on the west side, and we didn't get a direct hit on the ocean. So we didn't have as large of coastal impacts as we did during Hurricane Matthew. Unfortunately, after Irma, we also had swell that hit our shorelines from Maria and Jose, along with the king tides, where the moon, the sun, and the earth aligned up in a special alignment, creating a superlunar tide. The intensive waves and swell and high tides that we've had over the last 2 months has churned up the ocean. You've had constant winds blowing from the east, and what this has done is it's taken that vegetation that was out in the Gulf Stream and blown it into our shorelines. So if you've been out to the beach within the last 2 weeks, you've noticed what almost looks like a mattress of seaweed. And this isn't normal. This usually only happens after long sustained winds and a massive churning of our ocean. But what this is it's nature's way of repairing itself. So we have a hurricane, we have Irma. Irma comes through and does a little, damage to our coastlines. The dunes protect us like the dunes are supposed to, and they deflate a little bit. The dunes got knocked down, the vegetation's still out there. But what nature's going to do to help make the dune recovery process a lot faster is it's going to blow this vegetation in. If you remember, after Matthew, we had vegetation that came in, but it wasn't a consistent blanket across our shoreline. It was random little spots of very large vegetative matter that we were calling tumbleweeds, because that's what they look like. In Matthew, we placed those tumbleweeds back up behind the conservation zone signs. so that it would help to reestablish our dune system. We had to do that before we could open the beach with Matthew. Thankfully, when nature brought this mattress of seaweed in, the majority of the seaweed is already back behind the conservation poles. So once the tide receded a little bit, we didn't have such a devastating hit to get the beach cleaned again. We had to reinstall some of the conservation posts, just do the tidal action, but we didn't have to get out there and start moving vegetation. Now what this vegetation will do is it will sit up at your toe of dune, so the base of your dune or the base of your seawall. It's not going to smell very pleasant for a while, but what it will do is it will start drying out with sunshine. It'll start decaying, it'll start hardening up. The good news is that the seeds and the root systems will stay alive in this whole process.
So I know a lot of people wonder, why can't we just remove this seaweed, because like you mentioned, it smells, but as I'm sure you're about to tell us, there's a lot of benefits that the seaweed provides.
The seaweed is beneficial in two ways. One, it provides a safe space for our baby sea turtles out in the Gulf Stream. They can hide from larger predators and still feed and then grow until they're safe enough to sustain by themselves. When it's on our shoreline, this acts as nature's repair mechanism for our dune system. It'll dry out. As the tides recede back east, the sun will come out and start drawing that top layer of sand up, making it super soft, and the wind will be able to blow it. Normally we get winds from the northeast to the east most of our day. So as the winds come, they'll pick up the light sand that's already dried out and blow it west. It will hit the seaweed. The seaweed will block it, knock it down, and it will settle. Over time, you'll grow a new dune from all the sand that blows across the shoreline. If you think about how the hurricane worked, when the waves came in, it knocked the dune down and just scattered that sand everywhere. So it's a slow process, but it will help us to rebuild our dune system. And the vegetation that washed on our beach is full of root systems and seeds that are all still able to reestablish vegetation once we get enough sand on top of it. Long term, Matthew, it took us about 6 months, but we had collected a lot of sand. You could no longer see the tumbleweeds, and it was covered in vegetation. So much so that we had 100 linear feet of dune growth east in some portions of our beach.
All right, so what about other debris that has washed up? So we talked about the seaweed, but you've also encountered some unusually large items and then some just unusual items. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, if you think about where we are in Florida, Irma hit South Florida very hard. It hit it a lot harder than we took it. And if you think about how when a storm comes through, it brings this big tide push, and then you get damage. You get dock damage, you get pier damage, you get walkover damage, and then the tide will go away very quickly in most places, and it will pull that damage back out, the docks, the floating debris, plastics. It'll pull all that stuff back out in the ocean. Well, since we've had this churning of our water for so long, what's happened is that debris that went out in our ocean has now made it back to our shoreline along with the seaweed. Some of the things that we've seen are hulls from jet skis, some rafts, what you could think, or an item that looks very similar to a floating dock has come ashore, and then we have a ton of small floatable plastics. I can't reiterate this enough. Plastic needs to go where plastic is supposed to go, be recycled.
Right.
Same thing with styrofoam. There was so much little white balls of styrofoam that have just been floating out in our ocean for who knows how long that was mixed in with the seaweed. This causes a problem for our marine life. It causes a problem for our debris cleanup. If the seaweed's covered in debris, I can't leave it out on the beach. I'm gonna have to make the call to pull it. If we can get clean seaweed, we'll leave it, but if you cannot pick out the plastic from the vegetation, we're going to go ahead and get it off our shorelines.
And you even had an iguana.
We had an iguana.
And we'll have pictures of that we'll put on the screen. We had an iguana come up that probably came from South Florida or somewhere further south.
We also had a couple birds that were tagged, migratory birds from the Mediterranean Sea. Michael Brothers with the Marine Science Center spoke about that earlier. So
wow, it's just amazing. So Our contractors are there to help remove these large items, the unusual items, but they're also there every day, especially during our peak season, because trash is the number one problem associated with beach goers on the beach, and our summer is the peak season for our contractors to pick up trash.
If you're walking the beach and you notice that there's a lot of debris in the shoreline, in the seaweed, feel free to pick it out. There are trash cans, blue and yellow, all up and down our shoreline. Pick it up, throw it in the trash can. If you get it in the trash can, we'll grab it. Our worst case scenario is a high tide comes up and washes it back out to sea. So show everybody how much you love our beach. If you're taking a walk, pick up what you see, throw it away. We provide ample locations and opportunities to throw it away responsibly.
And there are ways for people to volunteer with the county as far as creating their own beach cleanup events. We just had one a few weeks back that was part of the International Coastal Cleanup. But individuals, as you mentioned, they can pick up any day. They're encouraged to pick up any day they go to the beach. But then people can also form a group and register through the county so that they can be just more organized in their cleanups, or pick a specific place that they want to kind of adopt as theirs to keep clean.
We do have an Adopt a Beach program. The information's on the website. What that does is it allows us to track our volunteer hours. We provide gloves, we provide pickers, we provide everything you would need in order to pick up the beach. Some examples of groups that have this: regular citizens. Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so from Daytona Beach have a section of the beach. I believe the Bethune-Cookman football team has a section of the beach. The Sons of the Beach have adopted a section of the beach. So it's a great activity specifically for young children. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything where you can start educating that younger generation that it's not acceptable to throw your trash on the ground.
Before we leave, do you want to give folks an update on the New Smyrna Dunes Park? I know recently we just completed a section of that boardwalk. It's a beautiful park. If people haven't been there lately, they should go down there and check it out.
The Smyrna Dunes Boardwalk is one of the awesome things that I'm allowed to work on. As you know, the park boardwalk was about 35 years old, and it's right there on the southern peninsula of the Ponce de Leon Inlet, surrounded by 3 water bodies: the inlet, the Atlantic Ocean, and then the intercoastal. It's impacted by sun, by salt, by hurricanes, by heavy, intense foot traffic, and it needed to be repaired. We got authorization from our council to move forward with the full repair and placement project. We are about halfway done. We now have complete full ADA access from our parking lot to pavilion all the way out to our brand new fishing pier on the intercoastal waterway, as well as our dog-friendly inlet shoreline. So you can go, and whether you're in a wheelchair or you have a ton of beach gear, you can now go from the parking lot directly out to the shoreline and not get your feet sandy.
Well, Jessica Winterwerp, Director of the county's Coastal Division, thanks so much for being here today, and we hope people visit our coastal parks and keep our beaches clean.
Thank you, ma'am.
Amber, back to you.
Thanks, Joanne, and thank you too for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Osman, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.